What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Tyrant's Halo 3 LASO Challenge. That's Legendary All Skulls On. And of course, this is minus blind, just like all my other LASO Challenge videos. Not only do we openly oppose the blind scroll and are trying to prevent from being in other Halo games, but also this helps you, the viewers, get a look into exactly how brutal Mythic difficulty / LASO can be. We also think this is more entertaining to watch than just sort of a floating head going around shooting fire out of his face. So the first part of this mission, Tsavo Highway, is what we're doing right here, is fairly straightforward. Now, I do want to say that this is the third video in my series, as well as technically the third mission in the game. And I'm doing these from easiest to most difficult. Just to be pretty straightforward here, we do consider Tsavo Highway, or at least I do personally, to be the easiest Covenant mission, but there are some tricks to it. I call this the physics mission because the physics will hurt you. So going across to the second area right here, we have two Jackal snipers. You want to go ahead and take them out. They shouldn't be much threat to you because you're on the Warthog, but if you do manage to drive beside them so that they're facing the Chief, yes, they can shoot you out of the hog, so be careful of that. So go ahead and swap out your assault rifle for the beam rifle, and go ahead and drive up. Try to keep your focus on that turret guy right there. Slow down right here, and then drive right past those grunts. If you aren't careful there, they could possibly stick you. Now, this is one of the more complicated parts of the mission right here. People try to run it and typically die. So I'm going to show you how to get through this a little bit easier. Obviously, you want to snipe that first Jackal sniper that we saw up there, and then you want to take out this group of enemies. You want to kill only 3 grunts. If you kill less than 3, they'll stay there. If you kill more than 3, all the enemies, including the Brute, will retreat. But you do want to kill that Brute. He's got a Brute shot, and we want to try to eliminate him as opposition. Brute shots are brutal, no pun intended, in this mission because they can flip your Warthog like crazy, plus they deal crazy damage. And keep in mind, since you do have the black eye skull on, that also makes regaining your shields very, very difficult. The only weapons that are really effective against shielded armor, like you see there, are plasma weapons. So that does include things like the beam rifle, the carbine, the plasma pistol, plasma rifle, etc. But the sniper rifle is near useless. In fact, I think it's completely useless, so is the battle rifle against a fully shielded Brute. So next you want to go ahead and take out this turret. Now the grunt's going to hop out as soon as you shoot him with a battle rifle a couple of times, and then quickly take him out with a headshot. That eliminates most of the dangerous opposition here, so you can drive right through. You do want to take this part a little bit slow. It's very easy to flip here, especially if you get hit by a Brute shot, and if you're in mid-air, most weapons can actually flip you from enemy fire. So this next area I've seen rushed too, but I'm going to show you a little bit more of a safer method. Drive to the right here. That allows you to avoid the Chieftain with the fuel rod gun over there on the left. You have 2 choppers in this area, which will retreat back to that sniper tower you see in the distance. Grab the gravity lift. We're going to be using that a little bit later. And go ahead and quickly rush up the hill here. You do want to be quick about this because the choppers and the turret will be shooting at you. Stop right here. Now this is a good chance for you to get your shield back if you feel like you need it. If you're low on shields or have no shields, you can melee that turret and quickly jump backwards before it starts shooting at you. Now this time we want to use frag grenades to take out that door, but first we want to get this other turret over here. He tends to be a bit of a problem child. Just stick it with the grenade and quickly shoot the grunt before he can turn around and shoot at you back. Use a frag grenade to try to take out this shield door right here. It can be a hit or miss. Don't worry if you can't take it out with the frag grenade. There are other ways to do it. That just seems to be the quickest and most efficient way, plus you really aren't going to be using any more grenades in this mission, so it's okay to spend them here. Quickly drive over here. There is a Brute back there with a beam rifle. Be very careful. They seem to be a little less accurate than Jackal snipers, but at the same time, they're also more difficult to kill because you can't get them with a simple headshot. If you are low on shields here and you weren't able to get them back, that second ladder over there on the left has a regenerator on top of it. Please feel free to use that at any time. So right now, when you're approaching this bridge, and yeah, that ship was cool, go ahead and jump out right here. Your Marines will jump out too. You're intended to walk the rest of the way, but go ahead and drop that gravity lift, and you can usually use the Warthog, or easily use the Warthog, to safely lift across. No harm done. I've tried to do this with a chopper. Chopper seems to be a little bit more difficult to steer. You can technically drive right through that area, but I've found myself to get stuck with plasma grenades more often than not. So what we're going to do is place the hog back there. We're going to go on top where this bridge is right here. And there's also a full plasma pistol that we're going to end up picking up at one point as well to take with us into the next area. And we're going to go ahead and pick up some of the opposition here. So you've got two grunts. These are the ones who usually stick me over there on the other side of that tunnel. Sometimes one will retreat back towards the enemies over there on the far left. If you kill his buddy, sometimes he won't. You also want to go ahead and take care of these two, and there's also two more on the ground level just to the left right there. Sometimes, again, they'll retreat, sometimes they won't. It depends on whether or not they're engaging the Marines. And we'll go ahead and pick up this plasma pistol. You really don't need the beam rifle anymore for the rest of this mission. So now the area is fairly secure. We should have a fairly simple drive at this point. Let's go ahead and hop back in that Warthog. Get your plasma pistol ready. Wait for all the enemies to retreat back there on the left. It looks like they're shooting at some Marines over there. And easily ease your way into these pipes right here. So keep driving, drive right on past. This battle could take a long time if you wanted to stick around and fight. On Mythic, I don't even know if it's possible, just because of the Chieftains alone. Park right behind this rock, and we're going to see if we can take out one of these choppers. We're going to be using a Brute chopper for the remainder of this mission. I love this vehicle. It's got a very powerful weapon, and watch out for that Wraith. It's just a little bit difficult to maneuver. It has great splattering capabilities, even at low speeds, but it can be difficult to get through those pipes, which is why I initially bring a Warthog over here instead of trying to steal one of the choppers from the previous area. Now, that Wraith will oftentimes join the battle over there that you just came from. Sometimes he'll stick around, but you're pretty safe behind this rock. So we're kind of playing, gosh, what's the sport where you're trying to fight? Bullfight. There you go. Why? That was kind of dumb of me. So we're trying to play bullfight with these choppers here. We're going to try to capture one. It should be noted that hijacking vehicles does bring your shields back up, just like you would meleeing an enemy. So it's sort of a good thing when you can take advantage of that when you can. But you do need to be careful because those giant spiker rounds from the chopper are very dangerous. It should also be noted that they're very good at knocking over Warthogs. Whereas if you're on a chopper, the chopper just tends to slide instead of flip. So now go ahead and boost your way right through here. We were already able to take out the driver from the other chopper, so it's always a good thing. And right around this bend, you have two more Brutes and two parked choppers. Sometimes you have Marines over there to the right, sometimes you don't. But the Brute chopper is very effective at taking out these guys. Like I said, very powerful. One of the few non-plasma weapons out there that can do the job. I should say rockets are the other, but you don't have a rocket launcher available to you in this mission. Now, park right here for just a second to see where the Brute choppers are. There are going to be infinitely spawning choppers in this area, so do be careful. Drive straight over here, underneath the bridge, and park the chopper. You should be safe from the enemy choppers at this point. Your ally Marines will be joining you. They also have infinitely spawning Warthogs, so you will have a constant distraction. And our big obstacle here is going to be this Wraith and the two that follow it. I've tried just stealing this Wraith and going forward, but I'm usually attacked by the other two, and it just does not end very well. Especially on that narrow bridge. It's very difficult to dodge. So, as you can see, I'm peppering this Brute instead of using the overcharge shots. It takes a lot less ammo, and because he's in a vehicle, it's a little bit difficult to determine whether the plasma overcharge will hit the vehicle itself or the Brute, so you don't want to waste ammo here. So always take out the driver first. That plasma cannon is very dangerous, and go ahead and bash that tank in. But as soon as you do, and of course this means your shields are up, go ahead and duck back down where you originally were, and a second Wraith is going to pop up. A third one is going to be dropped off by a Phantom. Not quite yet, and it looks like there it is. Sometimes both Wraiths will approach you at the same time. Usually if you can take them out fast enough, you only have to deal with one at a time. But even if you have to deal with them both, as long as the secondary gunners are no longer in play, it's not that big of a deal. They won't fire on each other, so even if you board one, you should be in pretty good shape. Just don't try to steal a Wraith with one close by. Otherwise, yes, they will kill you. So as you can see, I'm overcharging these vehicles right here. The EMP keeps them still. Unlike in Reach, they can't shoot 90 degrees, which is nice. Here comes that other Wraith, so I'm going to quickly back off. Fortunately, that Wraith that we just took out is serving as a nice little meat shield. And we have our shields mostly back up, but we almost got shelled there. There is another plasma pistol down here, and there's also a fuel rod gun just over there to the left if you want to use that against the shade turret. It's not a bad idea. It definitely helps you out a little bit. It gives you a little bit more security, but it is not necessary. Now, I've noticed sometimes this Wraith hangs back over there behind the hill. And it does make it a little bit difficult when this is the case, because it's just really hard to get that charge shot in to take out that secondary gunner. And that secondary gunner is our top priority. Essentially, once you get the Wraith, the mission is, for the most part, over. At this point, you'll have infinite tank shells, essentially. So, I'm going to sort of take my time here. As long as he's not moving around too much, we should be able to get that secondary gunner and then make our way over there. Because he's parked over there in particular, it would be very difficult to board the Wraith, so we're probably going to have to take out the shade turret that's hiding just behind that hill on the right hand side. So it looks like we're good to go. Okay, secondary gunner is down. It is tempting to go over there and steal it, but I'm not willing to take that risk because we're almost at the end of the mission here. Wraith looks a little bit nervous to come up on the bridge. I personally don't blame him. So again, we're going to stop back by right here on the bottom and pick up that fuel rod gun. There was also a fuel rod gun on the bridge just before the entry of this area, but you don't really need it. We're only using it to take out the shade turret over here. So go ahead and climb up this hill. And the shade turret is just over here on the left-hand side. We do know the Wraith is kind of camping over here for now, so do be careful of it. It only takes one hit to kill the Chief, even at full health. And 2 fuel rod gun shots will kill both the turret and the driver, or should, or at least it'll kill the driver. That's mainly your big thing right there. I said big thing. So now go ahead and pick up the plasma pistol again. We're going to go ahead and try to assault the Wraith, and it looks like this guy is double parking, so we're going to go ahead and take care of him. Got a second chopper, got a new ride. It would be nice if I could take this. Now, it is entirely possible to rush this last area as well. I've seen people go ahead and take a sort of an incline up to the bridge using the chopper, rushing to the end of the mission, and using fuel rod rounds to destroy both the tunnel entrance and the shade turret, and I'll get into that in a little bit. But it is extremely risky on Legendary alone, let alone Mythic, because you can't recharge your shields. So right now we're going to go ahead and go to this side over here, trying to keep out of range of the Wraith, trying to keep out of sight at the very least. Okay, like I said, it doesn't take much, so we're going to go ahead and plasma charge him to keep him from being able to turn and shoot at us, which gives us ample opportunity to easily take this guy out. Now, again, since we've taken out the turret, the only real opposition you need to worry about here is the occasionally random brute chopper that'll wander your way. And yes, I have been killed by them before after obtaining a Wraith, so do be careful here. Now, what I recommend is, while you're going down the highway, just occasionally glance back to see if brute choppers just sort of meandered their way onto the bridge. Because the Wraith is so slow at turning around, they can typically kill you before you actually get a chance to shoot back. So now we're going to approach the Brute Blockade. This is why you don't want to rush this area too much. If you left the 2 Wraiths back there, they would be shelling you at this point. And I don't know about you, but I don't have eyes in the back of my head. So the Brute Blockade is made up of 2 waves. This is the first one. Mostly jump pack, or I want to say, I call them jump jet brutes. Sort of an ode to Command & Conquer Tiberian Sun. And jump jet brutes typically only have carbines and brute shots. Now, typically, it's not that big of a deal. Carbines are not that big of a deal, but there is a guy up there with a beam rifle, and even though they can't really do a lot of damage to the Wraith, keep in mind that because we punched the tank to death, or didn't punch to death, but enough to destroy the driver, Unfortunately, it is entirely possible for them to headshot you. It's a rare occurrence, but it can happen. This is kind of a random mission. In that regard, I will say I call this the Cortana of Covenant missions simply because it is very random. The physics here can drive you absolutely insane if you're not careful. So overall, the mission is not that difficult. It's just a matter of luck sometimes. So we're taking this one at a time. You don't want the brutes to get too close. If they board your tank, that's pretty much going to be the end of it right there. You can't get out of that, especially on Mythic, as far as I know at least. And also, typically, if they try to board you at that point, you probably don't have that many shields anyway. When they're berserking, they're not that big of a deal, except when they're just running at you. And yes, when they're berserking, they can, unfortunately, board your tank. The miners here aren't that difficult. There are two methodologies to killing them. Of course, you can shell them, try to predict where they're going to land, or you can even knock them off the bridge. A little bit more comical method right there. I can still see the brute with the beam rifle hiding up there on the left. He's sort of my biggest concern right now. I do want to make sure that the brutes with brute shots don't get too close as well, because yes, I have been killed by them before too. Like I said, the mission is pretty much over at this point, but you do need to be careful, because if you're too confident, and I have been a little overconfident in the past, yes, you can still die. Now, what I was mentioning earlier about the chopper run, you see that ramp over there on the left-hand side? You could very easily get a chopper up there, and if you have quick reflexes, you can use a fuel rod gun to take out the turret and the shield door in the next area. Apparently, if you do that, well, I should say it's not the turret, it's the turret driver. If you manage to do that and get close enough to the door, it'll end the mission. Again, I don't recommend doing that on LASO or Mythic just because your shields are so vulnerable at this point and the enemies are very tough. And obviously, I don't know about you, but if you spent this long on the mission, I personally don't want to take any reckless risks in this last little part over here. But of course, that's just me. Now, I've seen this mission sped run on regular Legendary in about 5 minutes, give or take. And it can be done, but even as those speedrunners will tell you, it does take quite a bit of luck to do that. The enemies are in different positions all the time. You never know if you're going to get hit by a random brute shot round, brute choppers, anything of that nature. It's too much of a gamble for me. So this is sort of a way of me going through the mission without taking everything out, without fighting each and every battle, but not necessarily speed running it either, just making the path safer. My goal here is to show you which enemies are key into getting from one area to the next without taking too much damage or spending too much time in one area. You don't want to spend a lot of time in one area simply because, yes, there are a lot of enemies, and if you spend an hour trying to get to this point and then die for some ridiculous reason, I can see you going through a lot of controllers that way. Trust me, before I started using my vaporizer, yeah, that was me. Oh, and beer can be a good thing if you're of age. So I wanted to point out a very cool fact. So this mission is called Tsavo Highway. Tsavo is a real place in Africa. They actually made a movie about two lions from Tsavo who were basically annihilating all these people from a village. It is a true story. Those lions' manes are in a museum currently. I forget what the movie's called off the top of my head, but it's a pretty good movie. And it does take place in Tsavo. Prior to that movie, I thought it was pronounced Tsavo. Mainly because there was a Marine earlier in the mission that said, "We're on the Tsavo Highway," and I think I misheard him and he was saying the Tsavo Highway, but I could be wrong. I haven't really looked at the transcripts yet. So again, you want to take this part nice and slow. Once you kill enough brutes in this in the front area right here, and I feel like I'm stuttering a lot, and I do apologize, they'll start backing up a little bit. There is a war chieftain guarding the entrance. He's got a plasma cannon, very, very dangerous, especially in a tank like this. Chieftains have a lot of health, and there's two ways to kill him, which we'll get to in a second as soon as I take care of these guys. My main concern here is making sure that none of these brutes inadvertently sneak up on me or take me off guard, because trust me, you don't want to die here. So at this point, we're getting a little bit closer. I think I may see a grunt over there. If that's the case, that's the driver to the turret, and we're going to have to take him out first. Otherwise, the mission won't end, and I'll show you that as well. It kind of sucks when you think about it. You can lay waste to all these brutes, including the Chieftain, but if that grunt's not dead, nope, mission's not over yet. I guess even the Pelicans are afraid of their mad stick skills. So I do see a couple of brutes kind of lingering out over here. It does take a while, and this is to me the most boring part of the mission, just because you're trying to play it safe, and really all you're doing is shelling here. There's not really enough ammo for you to take out the brutes on LASO. On standard legendary, even brutes can fall from the battle rifle. Their power armor is not that effective on regular legendary, but once you start putting on skulls like Thunderstorm and Mythic, yes, it does boost their health quite a bit, and to the point where human weapons almost do no damage to them at all. I literally, on the Storm, sat there and used an entire BR crate against one brute miner, and his shields never popped. So one thing that makes this area a little bit dangerous right here is just there's a lot of debris, a lot of cluster. It's very easy, or I should say clutter, but very easy for you to lose track of brutes, very easy for them to sneak up behind you. So again, one thing that you can do is, if you really want to go the extra route, you can bring a chopper with you as well as the Wraith and see if you can try to speed run it that way. Again, I still wouldn't recommend it. I've done a few test runs where I would save and quit and just see how many times I could pull it off, and it was rare. Speaking of save and quit, if you are trying to get the LASO challenge achievement for this game, again, we're using the Master Chief collection here, you will need to turn on the blind skull, but again, this will show you, how you can play the game even with the blind skull on. All you really need to do is put a piece of tack on your screen. I don't use it personally because I don't want to damage my 65-inch flat screen TV. So that pretty much negates the blind skull in terms of shooting from the hip. But also you can save and quit. Now, which negates the whole Iron Skull. Iron Skull, as you know, if you die, you go, instead of going to the last checkpoint, you have to restart the mission. Of course, with my runs, I do them straight through just to show you that these strategies work. No deaths, no saves. You know me. I'm the founder of Mythic difficulty, which is legendary, all skulls on, no saves or deaths for each mission. So I want to make sure that I show you that this can work. But yes, if all you're looking for is the challenge, you can just as easily save and quit as soon as you die and resume. That way you don't have to go through a lot of painstaking do-overs and have to repeat the same parts of the mission over and over and over again, especially the ones that you know that you can do fairly easily. Now, this Chieftain's kind of a pain in the butt right here. So I was talking about two ways to kill him. Looks like his shield's flaring up a little bit. Obviously, shelling him to death is one way. It just takes a lot of hits. The other is, if you can manage to pull it off, you can use the Wraith rounds to lure him to the side over there on the right, and he will either fly off because of Wraith Mortar, or he will dodge and fly off anyway. It's kind of funny to watch this guy commit suicide. By the way, suicide is not funny. I do not condone it. Or recommend it. So anyway, so what we got going on here is I'm just trying to get this brute. It's a little bit difficult because of those shield barriers right there, and again, this is sort of a pain in the butt. You don't want to get too close because he does have quite a bit of range with that plasma cannon right there. It drives me absolutely insane. So definitely want to keep a safe distance. He usually doesn't advance past that first shield, so I really wouldn't worry about it unless you manage to hit a Wraith Mortar behind him and somehow project him in your direction. I do not recommend that either. So it looks like we took care of him. Yep, I see the plasma cannon laying on the ground. As you can see, that took a lot of fire right there. Oh, and I almost completely forgot about that grunt. As you can see, if you don't kill that grunt, the mission will not end. So let me see if I can find him. I know he's going to be hiding real well, but we really don't want to reach the very end of the mission, have one guy left standing, and that guy be a grunt and have him kill the Master Chief. So I'm going to see if I can lure him out just to see where he's hiding. I thought that was him for a second there, but not. So I'm trying to stay away from anything where he might just jump out randomly. They are deadly accurate with their grenades, and I think I see him right there. He's trying to get the best of me. Obviously, he's throwing all those grenades because he's got the cat skull on. And we took him out, and that is the end of the mission. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Again, this has been Tyrant's Halo 3 LASO Challenge Guide. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please rate, comment, and subscribe. And stay tuned for more missions every single week. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, I'm the Tyrant, signing off.
He's about to get kicked right off his throne. You will take our city back and drive our enemy into the grave they've been so happily digging. One final effort is all that remains.